Greetings, everyone. So, tonight I thought I would just talk about people to watch out for. And of course, you know that I believe in law of attraction, and whether you believe in it or not, it's real. However, being an empath, you do have to watch out for predatory type prey people. Or not prey people, but predatory. Because they look at you as a prey. So, one thing to watch out for is when you first meet a person and they're like really over the top, like everything is so beautiful and you are so gorgeous and life is so amazing. And, or it could even be like negative. It could be, I don't trust that person. Like something's off with that person. Like, and when I'm explaining this, it's like very extreme. You know, we all should have our spidey senses and our intuition. But if you just meet someone and there's all these like extreme behaviors or extreme deductions, extreme opinions about other people, it's just really something to watch. Or it could be, and you guys know I don't do politics. I did used to vote back in the day, but I don't do politics at all. Like if you meet a person that's like, I fucking hate Trump, and they're like super over the top and they rage about it for like an hour, you should be careful. You should just beware, that's all. Doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad person, but it's going to tell you a lot. When you get a person that's always talking about other people, or like they're making deductions about other people, and especially they're trying to direct or control your behaviors regarding another person, should really, really, really beware. That kind of behavior is not nice. It's somewhat abusive. Like, we all have the right to not like someone. But if a person is going around telling you, you shouldn't like this person, you shouldn't like that person, you should unsubscribe, or you should, I don't know, stop buying products from them, or don't eat lunch with them, or whatever it is. Unless it's like, it would be different if this was a person that you've known a long time and they're getting bad vibes from someone and they tell you, don't date that person, or don't go to lunch with that person. That's probably just a warning, they're trying to help you. But if you're just meeting someone and they're talking like this all the time, it's to divide people, to control your behavior. So, if you're around a person that needs attention 24/7, really something to watch. there's some kind of incessant need that they have to be the center of attention all the time. And they're never going to be able to devote enough love or attention to you, whether you're a family member, whether you are a romantic partner, business partner, so-called friend. It will always, always, always be about them. And they will drain you. They will drain you. And honestly, being around them is not very much fun. I can use myself as an example. There was a woman that I used to go to the club with back in the day, always to have fun. But she had to have attention on her all the time. So if I was looking hot in my cute little mini dress or whatever and getting attention, she couldn't share attention at all. She would have to take the attention away from me and bring the focus back to her. And oftentimes I got more attention because of the fact that I'm not like that. Like, I'm not narcissistic like that, you know? And I'm very, I like to look cute like any woman, but I'm very down to earth, extremely so. Anyone that knows me knows this. And men were just automatically drawn to that. You know, I never carried Louis Vuitton bags, no shade, but, you know, just very like practical, down to earth kind of girl. You know what I mean? So if you're around a person whom, like, you're just, especially if you're just kind of getting to know them, and your conversations become, or they're always them berating and talking badly about other people, what do you think they're going to do when they get off the phone with you? They're just not nice people. They're not nice people. And instead of looking inward and working on themselves, they want to constantly talk badly about other people and correct other people because they don't have the ability to self-reflect and improve themselves. It's a real sickness. I in fact, the past few years, I've cut people like that off. I don't have time for it. In fact, one person I was friends with for a very long time, and she was a little different though. She just would complain all the time. And our friendship didn't start out like that. So it was kind of weird. And maybe that's who she always was. I'm not sure. But I was just real tired of it. And it was so one-sided, never wanting to know what was going on in my life or what my thoughts were. Just, I'd be on the phone listening to her for like an hour or two, just complaining all the time about everything. About her husband, about the politics, about whatever it was. That's not friendship. That's what I would like. That is what I would call like a dump ship. That person is dumping on you all the time. Instead of going to therapy, instead of calling a hotline, or whatever it is they need to do, journal, whatever, they're dumping all their garbage on you. That is not a friendship at all. It's very toxic, and it's not good for you. I don't know that all people that do that are narcissists. I've actually done it myself. But if you're around a person that's their whole modus operandi, who wants to be around that, right? If you just made friends with someone and you're just kind of learning who they are and whatever, and really strange things start happening around you, you should take note of it. And I would recommend writing in a journal somewhere, like writing in a place that it's private, that that person will not see what you're writing down. And what I'm leading into here is it's a form of gaslighting. So like, say that you're like a really extremely organized person. I'm fairly organized. My joke is that I'm so organized I don't know where anything is. But like, say you're extremely organized and you're your desk at work, you have like a certain way you like to keep things a certain way. It makes you feel better. And let's say you have a purple pen that you absolutely freaking love, and you paid a little extra money for it, and you like to write certain things on your calendar in purple, and then certain journal entries, or maybe you have a little book at your desk writing tasks to do and you use the purple pen. All of a sudden your purple pen is gone, and you had just made friends with this coworker slash friend like in the last 2 weeks, and now your purple pen's gone. I assure you, they either took the pen or they hid it in a place that you don't know where it is. And that is to make you confused. It's to make you confused and doubt your abilities, because that's what they do. Instead of looking inside internally to see where they need to work on themselves, they want to, excuse me, they want to make you confused, because that's how they exalt themselves above you. And then you're going to start feeling off because these weird things are happening. Maybe one day you're getting ready to leave work, and you hang your coat, and the coat, there's like an area to hang coats, and your coat is gone. And you're really upset because it's kind of bad. It's kind of bad weather outside. You're very disturbed because you don't want to be cold. And what happened was, hold on. So what happened was that this coworker slash kind of fake new friend moved your coat. She didn't take it because she knew she doesn't want to get busted for stealing something, but she moved it where you couldn't see it. She tucked it underneath the drawer where you don't see it. All to cause stress and worry in you that you don't need. Say you're dating someone, you just started dating them. I'm going to use heterosexual couple, female to male, because that's who I am. So you just started dating him, and because he's more narcissistic in nature, more toxic, he's testing you. So you guys had planned to go out on a date on Thursday, and you've been looking forward to it. You're going to show him one of these little restaurants that you really love. They have your favorite pasta and a baked chicken that you just, it's one of your favorites. And you guys were planning on being to the restaurant around 6 o'clock after work. So it gives you enough time to go home, freshen up, change your shirt, and then meet him. And what does he do? He's supposed to pick you up at 5:30, and he's nowhere to be found. I can assure you, he's testing you. And what you should do is block him. Don't answer the door if he comes at like 10 to 6 or whatever, because that's already going to make you late. You had a reservation at 6 o'clock. He's testing you to see what you will put up with. So, if you're around a so-called new friend that whenever they're doing something nasty or evading questions and they don't want to deal with it, that's a real serious problem. Maybe your friend said something kind of ignorant to you, like a backhanded compliment. Like, say you lost 15 pounds. You've been watching what you eat. You've been exercising. And she's like, oh yeah, that's easy to do when you have a personal trainer, or whatever it is. Oh, yeah, that's really easy to do when you can afford Jenny Craig. That's a cut down. It's not your friend. A good, healthy friend will encourage you. They will compliment you. They won't be putting you down. So put downs, consuming a lot of your time when you have, like, let's say you've got a lot of things that you need to do. And this new friend or this new romantic interest doesn't respect your time. They keep you waiting. They don't call and cancel something until the last minute, which is also a real red flag. That is showing you disrespect. That is showing you disrespect. Are you going to tolerate someone disrespecting you? Because if you do, you're simply laying out the future with this person, because they will do it more. See, that's where you've got to have boundaries. And honestly, you're better off being by yourself or having one or two decent friends than having people like this in your life. It's much better. It just pays to pay close attention to things. My discernment is so sharpened at this point that if I know someone's being disrespectful or rude, I'll just walk away from them. It's irrelevant to me. They are irrelevant. Especially if you don't hardly know them. They want to try to have some say in your life or whatever. I use this one example. I'm just thinking of this. Hopefully my voice comes back at some point. I think it was a combination between the medicine I was taking and a little bit of acid reflux. I was eating like things I shouldn't eat, whatever, but I think my voice will come back. It's starting to a little bit. So I'm going to go into this one day about some of the struggles that I went through when I was looking for work. It was not easy. It was not an easy road. And then I would land these really good jobs, and then it would be all about the devalue. We got to devalue her and all this, which I didn't know what that was back then. And there were a few good ones. Not everyone did that to me. But so round and around in a circle I went, over and over and over. Didn't matter how many degrees I had. Didn't matter how many certificates I had. Didn't matter the good employment history I had. None of it mattered. It was all, I could see it. It was just like all these bullshit things you're told. And none of that added up to anything when I was looking for work. Never did. So I got to be kind of like good at going to these job fairs. And yes, you can get some good leads there. I'm not going to say that it's completely futile. It's not. But a lot of them were just, oh my gosh. I learned later that the people that hold the job fairs make money off the booths. Unless you're like the state like employers, they don't have to pay it. It was just, it was like another, not a con, but like a racket. So a lot of these places you would go and it would be, no offense to any of these jobs because I've done these jobs, some of them, but it would be like line manufacturing, factory work, like the lowest level of the lowest. Like sometimes temp work, which we all know is not going to go anywhere. You're going to be a slave. You're going to work for $10 an hour. You're never going to be told that you can go on vacation and all this stuff. Because the slave system's built into our systems. So I went to another job fair, and I was dressed really nice, and I was just like, here we go again. And then by then I was like in my 40s, and I'm like, wow, this is how my life's going to be, you know. And then I'm looking at guys like my age, and they were, not to be mean, but they were just looking really rough. And I was like, damn, this is what we are reduced to. You know, reduced to like being an animal, dressing up in black pants. And these middle-aged guys, they were trying to put their best foot forward, but I could feel the pain in them because I knew the pain, but I think as a man it was even harder on them. And I was just like, wow, what? It's like reducing people, you know? And it is about the attitude that you go in with. But after you go through it, like the little merry-go-round over and over, you start to see the patterns and you're like, this is messed up, you know? So I had gone to this particular one. It was in a suburb of Milwaukee, Brookfield. And this little punk kid who's at the door of the job fair is like really going off on me. Oh, we have to have your resume. I was like, that's nice. You guys know me. Now, in defense of myself, in defense of this guy who was a real jerk, if I would have known I was supposed to have, because by then now we're all on computers, right? Like, who does paper anymore? But I just didn't like his tone with me, and I was like, oh, that's nice. He was trying to like handle me, and you guys know where that went. And all it was is I knew what it was. They get paid by each resume. Something like that. I don't know how it all worked. It was just so disgusting. I never did give him the resume. And that particular job fair was not the greatest. There were some higher end jobs like engineering, guys that were like engineers or women. There was like aerospace, you know, real brainiac type ones. And then there were like all kinds of CNA jobs. You guys know. You guys know. And I'm not shading anyone. You guys freaking know. You know, housekeeping, things like that. For that, you could just stay home, right? So that was just like an example that I was using to try to be my handler. This guy was going to come off at me rude, about half my age. Could have been my son. Talk to the hand. The more that you respect yourself, we're not always going to command respect with everyone. In fact, the more people that are more insecure with themselves or have lower self-esteem are going to be the ones that attack you more. It doesn't mean you got it all worked out. It means that you have high regard for yourself. You have high self-esteem within yourself. Doesn't mean that people with high esteem have no self-esteem issues. I have self-esteem issues. I mean, there's certain things that I've gone through in the last 10 years that have caused me stress, you know, physical ailments and such. But inside, I know I'm a warrior. I already know that. I was born a warrior. I'm like 8 generations Viking Celtic on my mother's side and mostly my father's side. So what do you guys think? So, and it took me many years to learn these lessons. And unfortunately, my beautiful mother, she never learned it. She really, I mean, she did stand up for herself in her own way. You know, she was from the World War II Let's see, what generation would she have been? You know, she wasn't a boomer. She was before then. I think that's World War II. I forget. So, you know, that generation of women had different things that they would tolerate than women in my generation or the newer generation. And I don't think everything's so great either anymore. But you learn in embracing more self-love. And obviously I didn't get it all the way right, because if I did, I wouldn't have this disease, would I? So, you know, that there's varied reasons to get this kind of disease. And it's very rampant, which is unfortunate. And I'm saying rampant in the world. I personally believe it's a genocide program. So, anyways, you learn people's behavior, you know. And that goes for yourself. You have to learn about yourself and work on yourself in order to understand other people as well. And when you're around a combative person, it absolutely does not pay off to try to fight with them. They live in that lower vibrational frequency. So why would you want to bring yourself down to a lower vibrational frequency? And usually we match energy, we do. But if you look at the example of what's going on with Scientology, I don't personally even like to use these labels that people get labeled with. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people will gladly take on these labels, and they shouldn't. Because why would you allow someone else to label who you are, right? So, child advocates that are standing up for the rights of children versus these Scientology demons. It's a battle of good versus evil. So it's like the people that are righteous and advocating for children are going to kind of sort of go head to head with these evil demonic people. That's just the way it is. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Game of Thrones, and I didn't watch that whole series when the white-haired lady sacrificed her horse. I was like, I'm out. You guys know that's more dark occultic stuff, right? So, but it's, if I was able to float up in the air, and I mean, in a sense I can do that. When I say that is like, I'm able to see things, the whole big picture of things. It got me in a lot of trouble, a lot of places. One federal job that I had, I figured out that they were not being completely honest with veterans' disabilities. That shit wasn't cool with me. So what do you think happened to me? I got fired. And then they tried to make it, the narcissistic boss that I had, tried to make it that I was inadequate and, you know, I wasn't catching on and all this stuff. And meanwhile, they would hire like anywhere from 20 to 40, you know, I'd call them, in a sense, fresh meat, like the Scientologist in a way, the raw meat or whatever. And then they would, miraculously, nobody would make the mark. I didn't even know how they could continue doing that, but because I just figure stuff out, man. And I'm an ethical person. So that's why I don't do well in the Matrix. But I feel that once I get through this serious health challenge, because that's what it is, and I embrace health and wellness, and that's the only thing that I accept right now. And I do get tired. That's because the chemo attacks your good blood cells along with the bad blood cell. Well, the bad stuff basically. So it affects your red and your white blood cells. But I'm scheduled for not three. I'm scheduled for a total of 6 rounds. I will get through this. And I will prosper. And I will thrive once I get through this. So, anyhow, it just so happens that as a young person, I was always, and I'm still very kind-hearted, but I'm tough at the same time. And I put off a lot of people, and you know what? I'm totally fine with that. I look at it like this: stand for something or stand for nothing. And there's a lot of cowardice type people in the world right now. But you see, what you have to remember is those are not your people. And anyone walking around dictating and pointing fingers trying to tell you what to do, that ain't your people. You always have to keep your eye on the prize and be moralistic and ethical and do the right thing. Do the right thing when other people are not watching. And that's not just for me. I heard it somewhere. But it's true. And you see, like for me, I use myself as an example. When I would walk into these unethical workplaces, it was like oil and water. It never mixed, and it never would. And I would rather work a job as a caregiver than social work or whatever else it was that I was doing, and be able to look at myself in the mirror every day and know that I was ethical, righteous, and moral, than to be like some of these fake front nonprofit groups that I see that simply only call themselves a nonprofit trying to help abused children when all they're actually doing is getting a tax break. That's it. Facts. Always watch who's always in front of the camera. Now, I don't mean like people just being silly on YouTube, or what I'm talking about here is watch people that are always doing photo ops. You know what I'm saying? Shaking hands with a thumb over the pulse. Or that musician that is, oh, I helped so many children. I helped so many children. Look at me. I'm going to give this organization a check, which is also a tax break for them. Why do you have to have cameras on you all the time when you're doing this? Why can't you do the right thing when nobody's looking at you? It's because it's virtue signaling. It's this fake false narrative that they're trying to portray to the world. Meanwhile, they go home and they beat their wife, or they beat their own children. It's true. Those are the people you got to watch out for. And if you're able to raise your vibration and stay in a happier state of mind, you will attract more of it to you. But if you try, I don't even like to use the word battle, but let's just say you're advocating for children that are being sexually abused, physically neglected, physically abused. The demons and the predators that abuse the children, they ain't gonna like that. It doesn't matter if it's a multi-billion-dollar organization. It doesn't matter if it's a pedophile cult in Shawano, Wisconsin. It's that narcissistic entitlement. Always watch for people who don't stand up for the right thing. Have you guys ever heard of I don't remember where I even learned this the first time. But like, I think in New York for some reason, but it doesn't just happen in New York. Anybody from the old school knows, and I'm sure it still goes on. Back in the day before all these 500 cameras everywhere, a lot of times, like petty criminals or thieves would go into a store, they'd case the store out because they want to rob it or just get stuff. And then they would go with their friend, like they'd take 3 people. And then one of the friends would go up to the counter and start screaming and hollering, I can't believe you did this to me. You overcharged, whatever it is. And meanwhile, the other 2 friends are just grabbing all kinds of stuff, shoving it into their bag, while the other friend distracts them. Always, always watch out for distractions. Those are the people to watch out for. Oh, don't look over here, look over here. Don't look at the children being raped over here in this building. Look over here. I'm not going to get into false narratives on certain platforms. And I'm just saying in generalities. I'm not saying any specific place. You always have to watch the distractions. There are a lot of devious, evil individuals in this world who are making millions of dollars off of children getting hurt. They're the ones making the money off of it. They're the ones making the money off of the opium, etc. Don't look over here. Look over here. You know, and you can carve a beautiful life out for yourself. There's a way to do it. But when you take on demons, it's just like, you know, when the vampire, when they're hit by the sunshine and their skin burns, that's a lot of what we're seeing right now. It's I wish my voice was better. It's good versus evil. It's angelic versus demonic. So I guess that's it for now. I hope that you guys found value. I'm sure I will stop sounding like a chicken in a few days. Oh, boy. I sound a lot worse than I am. I feel fine, except for just being tired sometimes. But you guys take care, and I hope that you found value in this. Peace.